Hello and welcome to this Filbert Flies review of FSDreamTeam's Zurich add-on for Microsoft Flight Simulator. You join me here on final to runway 34 at Zurich, and I'm starting with an approach as ever so that you can have a look at the surrounding area and also gauge the performance of the scenery on my system, which is comprised of an i7-8700K processor with 32GB of RAM and a 1080 Ti graphics card. I'll complete the approach and landing, and I will speak to you again at a gate when we will have a good look around this scenery in different weather and lighting conditions, and I will finish by giving you my all-important opinion on it. Speak to you shortly.
Hundred above. Minimum. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
Welcome to Zurich. We're parked up here at gate Echo 52. We'll have a look at the jetway connecting. It is a custom model jetway. And then we will begin our tour. So that is not the best jetway connection we've ever seen. You'll notice that the whole thing goes right through the skin of the aircraft. Now, we have had issues with custom jetways for quite some time, but in more recent releases they seem to be working a lot better than this one. Not the end of the world, but not the best start. On the plus side, we do have transparent glass on the jetways. We have excellent quality texturing on these advertising signs and on the rest of the pier structure. If you have a look over here, this concrete texture is pretty high resolution, and it looks good. We can also go inside the jetway thanks to the tinted glass, which you'll be pleased to see is tinted from within as well. We've seen a lot of airports where if you enter a glass structure there appears to be no glass in it whatsoever from the inside. Let's take a look at the terminal building on this E-pier. So excellent quality modelling, I would say here. Nice window frames, good reflective glass. And the terminal interior is pretty good as well. We've got a variety of shops, which of course have flat textured shop fronts, which is perfectly fine by me. The signage is really clear, very crisp, more high resolution texture work, which is great. And we've got seating at the gate areas as well, as you would expect. So I'm quite impressed so far. However, you'll notice that unlike the jetways, which remain tinted from the inside, these windows don't, and they do appear to have no glass in them whatsoever. So that's a little bit strange that we can look from within the jetways and see the tint, but not from within the main terminal building. A very minor point. I know there are very few of us who spend a lot of time inside the terminals, and certainly when you're pulling up in an aircraft, this looks very good indeed. Proceeding south along the airport, we have Dock A, which is attached to the terminal building. As you can see, it's an older structure, and we don't have any transparent glass or interior modelling here. What we do have, however, is some very, very nice texture work. These concrete panels look very convincing, and the modelling of these Toblerone shaped structures is nice as well. And of course the glass we do have is reflective and PBR. So that's very nice. The modelling of the main terminal building here is also very, very good. And the texturing too. Now we do have a fully modelled interior here, which is nice to see. It feels like a lot of effort to go to for a building that you're not actually going to park your aircraft outside of. But nonetheless, I'm impressed that they've done it. And Dock B is a different style again, which makes this quite an interesting airport. Now we don't have transparent glass or a modelled interior here, but what we do have is quite a lot of detail up here on the roof. So we've got a couple of people animated figures, which is nice. And we've also got this rather unusual children's play area with a little toy plane and a control tower slide. So that's really nice to see. A good bit of detail and a bit of life in this airport. Beyond the main terminal we have this maintenance area, and we have a Gate Gourmet building modelled over here, which is nice to see, and of course a few maintenance hangars. Now these are done very nicely as well. The texture's perhaps not quite as crisp as those on the terminal buildings, but plenty good enough for me. And we even have some stuff going on inside. If we go through the door here, you'll notice we've got lines painted on the floor, and we even have some sort of parallax effect in this hangar here, which shows you a bit of light coming through these windows, which shows a good amount of attention to detail, and I'm quite impressed by it. Near the runway 28 threshold we have this Rega helicopter base with two modelled helicopters which are done very nicely, and next to it we have the Executive Aviation Centre. And on the opposite side of the 28 threshold we have the General Aviation Apron and this terminal building here. Now it is worth pointing out that this is quite low resolution compared with a lot of what we've looked at so far, so possibly something you might want to bear in mind if you are mostly a GA flyer. Let's focus on the ground for a minute. Now the textures down here are not the highest resolution you'll have ever seen. They are a little bit blurry, and this becomes particularly apparent on the joins between the concrete panels here. That said, they are coloured very, very well. Having compared this with the Google satellite imagery, the colours seem spot on. We also have little spills and bits of discoloration which I really like, and the taxiway centre lines and other ground markings are great. They are nice and crisp, and they're well coloured. We've also got nicely detailed taxiway centerline lights, as you can see. Grass is nicely implemented, as you can see, with a variety of flora of different colours, which all looks quite realistic, and the signage is well modelled as well. I'm not so keen on the blurry transition between this bright grey colour and the darker one. That does look a little bit odd. The runways all look very good indeed, and having compared them with the satellite imagery from Google, they are made of the right material, and the amount of rubber staining is about right on each of them, so that's an impressive level of attention to detail. The night lighting at Dock E here is actually very impressive. Other than a little bit of flickering from these vertical window structures, it looks really, really nice. So you'll see that the terminal is lit from within, but in spite of that, unlike in some add-ons we've seen, the tinted glass remains, so it doesn't look unnaturally bright. And you can see the difference if we pop inside for a minute. Out on the apron, the lighting's very impressive as well, with a nice orange glow cast by these floodlights. Dock A is ever so slightly less impressive thanks to its baked-in textures in place of the transparent windows, but even this looks pretty good. The textures are high enough resolution and coloured in such a way that they do give quite a convincing impression of an interior. The main terminal building looks very impressive indeed at night thanks to another fully lit interior and this Flughafen Zurich sign, which is wonderfully lit. At Dock B, you'll notice a little bit of a glow from the inside thanks to the use of parallax, which gives the impression of an interior even though there isn't one here, and that really stands out at night in a way that it didn't during the day. And again, all of the stands are very well lit indeed. Even these remote stands and the nearby maintenance hangars are nicely lit at night, each pool of light having its own light source, and the hangars having a fully lit interior as well. Although without the accompanying light sources, but you know, we can't have everything all the time. The taxiways and runways are very well lit as well, as you can see, with the taxiways having centerline lights and edge lights as appropriate. And the signage adjacent to the taxiways is also very bright at night, so you should be able to find your way around without too much difficulty. And here's Zurich in the rain. It looks very nice indeed, with the ground textures supporting the built-in puddles and reflections very nicely. We do have a bit of a problem with the transparent glass popping out even when it should be shrouded in mist like the rest of the buildings and other structures, but that's not the developer's fault, that is an Asobo problem, and I believe they're aware of it and working on a fix. And here's what Zurich looks like in the snow. I'm pretty impressed with this, I must say. We've got a covering of snow almost everywhere, but we've got little patches where it's thicker and patches where it's thinner. It looks very nice on the grass. We don't have any jaggedy edges as we've seen in certain other add-ons. So overall, a very good job. I would like to see the taxiway centre lines a little bit covered in snow, to be honest, a little bit more than they are. And obviously I would like to see all of the surfaces covered, but again, not the developer's fault. There are some surfaces that just can't support snow. But I don't think you'll be disappointed flying here on a bitter winter's day. So, what do I think of this airport? Well, thanks for asking. Actually, I think it's really good. The terminals are modelled and textured very well, the night lighting is incredibly good throughout, and the implementation of snow is pretty good too. I would personally like to see higher resolution ground textures, and I would like to see the flickering, which particularly affects the jetways and the vertical structures around the windows, fixed. I'm prepared to cut them some slack on this last point because I suspect that a lot of the flickering is down to the in-sim sharpening, which can't currently be easily adjusted by the end user. Nonetheless, other FSDT airports with similar structures suffer significantly less with this, so I'd like to think there might be some tweaks that could be made. At the same time, it might just be my system. It's really hard to be sure with these graphical glitches. It's important to remember that this airport only costs about $10, and I think this price is exceptionally good for a scenery of this quality and level of detail. Now, we should probably address the elephant in the room. We know that Gaia are going to be releasing a version of Zurich imminently, so should you buy this one or should you wait for that one? Well, I'm not about to start speculating about the potential price-quality ratio of a product that hasn't been released yet, but I would say that if you generally like FSDreamTeam's work and you spend $10, pounds or euros on this add-on, I don't think you'll be disappointed. That's it. I hope you found this review useful. If you have, please do click the thumbs up button down below, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and, considering this scenery is such a bargain, you might find you have a little bit of loose change hanging around after you've bought it. If you do, I would love it if you'd send it my way. You can support my channel by clicking the Streamlabs donation link in the top left, or by going to buymeacoffee.com/Philbertflies. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you back again soon. Take care. Bye bye.